name is Charles Goldfarb, and I'm joined by my co-host Alex Aleem. In this podcast, we will interview various individuals, primarily in orthopedics, to highlight lessons in orthopedic leadership. These first episodes will feature conversations with AOA program committee chairs, symposium chairs, and key stakeholders for the AOA annual meeting. We are happy to be joined by Ann Van Heest from the University of Minnesota.
Dr. Van Heest is a professor, vice chair of education, and the residency program director at the University of Minnesota. She specializes in hand and upper extremity surgery. As the program director at Minnesota, she received the 2011 Parker J. Palmer Courage to Teach Award, the highest recognition for an ACGME program director. Dr. Van Heest will be moderating a symposium at this summer's CORD meeting entitled Medical Knowledge, Standardized Testing Results. Do we have a reliable method to assess our training program and our residents' medical knowledge? Dr. Van Heest, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. This will be a great measure to highlight some of the upcoming events in our CORD meeting this summer.
Yeah, so I'm grateful to welcome you as well. Can you just give us a high-level overview of what this symposium at the CORD conference will look like?
Well, Chuck, as you know, knowledge is a very important part of residency training, and we really don't have a method to test medical knowledge during residency. We have the boards at the end of residency. There had been some discussion about moving boards into residency, and that was a topic previously at CORD. But now we've been working collaboratively between the ABOS Board of Directors and CORD to try to see whether we could get a better knowledge assessment during residency.
That sounds great. I think, currently the best knowledge assessment that we have now is the OITE exam, which obviously is not perfect. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about this. Can you speak of some of the challenges about the OITE and potentially, I don't want to give too much away, but some of the solutions that are potentially coming up in collaboration with the ABOS?
One of the challenges of the OITE is that it has not had a very stringent question writing process. Every year they write all new questions and all of the questions are released. So last year, CORD put together a task force with the AAOS and the ABOS to try to see whether or not we could get a more standardized testing during residency. And we want to discuss that again together as a larger group.
So, Ann, you've been doing this for a long time. That's meant to be a compliment, not a nothing negative there. Well, what have you seen change over time, and what excites you about the direction that CORD is headed and this whole type of conversation? Because this is, we've been talking about this for a little while, but not all that long.
I think it's a really important topic. I think as we start moving towards competency-based education, that it's really important for us to define nationally, what does it mean to train a competent orthopedic surgeon? And in order to measure competence, we've kind of broke that down into knowledge, patient care skills, and behaviors. And the knowledge exam is actually the thing that we have the strongest track record in, but we actually aren't the strongest on nationally. I think we could be a lot better at it, and this is to continue the conversation of how can we improve assessment of knowledge during residency.
I think that's great, and knowledge is part of it. You mentioned behaviors, something that we don't really have a great way to assess in resident evaluations. I think it's almost like a little checkbox that you get when you do your end of rotation evaluation. Any concerns of professionalism? Yes, no, and So can you speak a little bit about behaviors and how that's evolved?
Yeah, so behaviors is one of the aspects of professionalism, basically. So the ABOS and CORD has been collaborating on putting together a behavior assessment tool, just like we have a surgical assessment tool. I think we want to speak a national language in all three aspects. We want to get to where we assess knowledge and assess patient care skills and assess behaviors, no matter where you train in the country, and that we have some levels of competency that we all agree on. That starts by having an assessment tool and trying to get a national assessment tool for both surgical skills, non-surgical skills, as well as behaviors.
Fantastic. Well, I have to say, this is super useful information. I think all of us who are involved with resident education and resident assessment look forward to continued progress in this area. And I know you've been a leader in this area for a long time. So we are grateful for your work and look forward to this symposium, whether it be in real life or virtual and when it might occur. So thank you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us. Super interesting. And again, we look forward to the future.
Yep, no matter the format, I think that bringing all of the program directors across the country together so that we have a good understanding of what we're trying to teach and how we're going to assess that, particularly medical knowledge, because we have a good firm background on doing that in the past and through different testing techniques. And this can help bring us together to have a more standardized format.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was good.